Welcome to the Lowcountry Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Bellott, founder of Veritas Exoscience, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I would like to welcome Ted Kniesche. Ted is the founder and CEO of Zero Industrial, a Charleston-based company helping decarbonize industrial heat and steam generation through thermal energy storage and heat as a service model that removes upfront costs for clients. Welcome, Ted. How you doing?
Hey, good afternoon, Bill. Nice to talk with you. Thanks for having me.
Nice to talk to you too. So Ted, I'm gonna jump right into the middle of this. So, okay, what is this stuff? Thermal energy storage. Are you guys just doing like water heaters? How are you storing this heat? What's going on?
Yeah, no, great question. So taking a step back, about half of the energy that's used at large industrial facilities is used to produce heat or steam in the process.
Mm-hmm.
It's used pretty much everywhere, and it's primarily all burned by or produced by burning fossil fuels, either
Sure.
natural gas or liquid fuels of some sort, depending on your location. And for years, there's been opportunities to try to decarbonize it, but it's been expensive and it's been challenging. And as renewables have become more prolific throughout the industry and the costs have come down, these technologies called thermal energy storage have really popped up in the last 5+ years, where we can take cheaper intermittent electrons, so wind and solar that doesn't produce electricity all the time, but we can take that, basically heat up what are called thermal heat batteries.
Oh, okay.
Through resistive heaters. They're like large toaster oven coils, if you will.
Okay. So
And they heat up these.
This isn't the salts, because that's what I'm more familiar with, is basically people heat up these very fancy
That's right.
salts and then take the heat from that to produce steam and all that. So this is a little different than that.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. We're basically heating up either ceramic bricks or some kind of solid heat
Okay.
storage media to very hot temperatures. We can store that energy thermally as heat and then deliver it to the customers in the form of heat or steam.
Oh, cool.
Whenever they need it, typically 24/7. So it's a way to, reduce their costs in certain markets and decarbonize their heat and steam production, which is a big kind of energy load in their facilities.
Right. So are you guys doing, I don't know if you are or not, but I'm just asking, are you guys doing anything with I'll say the AI world or the data center world? Because the data centers eat a lot of energy, obviously, and they need a lot of energy all the time. Are you guys doing anything with them, or are you doing other stuff here in the Charleston, and maybe you're doing it all around the country? What's kind of your spectrum here?
Yeah, so we haven't targeted data centers as much, mostly because they need large volumes of electricity, and we're really producing heat and steam for customers. But we're primarily focused on large manufacturing facilities in the US and Canada primarily. And so we're going after customers that have large steam boilers or fired heaters, and we're helping them basically electrify those processes where we can get the right electrons at the right cost to replace their fossil fuel costs.
That's awesome. Yeah, I worked on I was a federal employee for a number of years. I worked on a large campus, and our campus was, we use steam. And so there are a lot of old boilers and stuff out there, and that's how, they used to heat campuses, and especially large facilities like that, for many, many years. So yeah, I'm sure that's great. So getting them sort of up to date and everything. So do you guys do you do the project planning? Do you do the installation? What part of the process do you guys do as far as helping your customers?
Yeah, no, good question. So we're not the technology developer or provider ourselves. We work with other technologies that have developed and are commercializing their systems. And we're what are called project developers. So we come in and we work with the customer to evaluate and figure out which system they should use. We run all the feasibility analysis. We'll go out and procure the electricity in the market. and then we'll actually finance the project for them and sell
Oh,
them
wow.
heat as like an outsourced utility. Heat as a service agreement is what it's called.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah.
So that is that similar? I've heard of this like electricity as a service thing. They did that for a little while in the solar panel industry. Is it similar to that, or is it a little bit different? Do you know?
Yeah, it's just like any kind of outsourced utility service. I mean, that's really what we're providing is sort of a different way to source their heat and steam as opposed to them putting all the capital up and
Mm,
buying the heat themselves, which we're flexible. We if the customer wants to put their own money into it, we can work with them on that. But typically the customers we see, one, they haven't really heard of this option before. It's relatively new. So, and they've also typically not budgeted for it
right.
in their forecasting. So, being able to provide the tens of millions of dollars that it costs to install systems like this is usually welcomed by them, and we can source the capital and structure it the right way to basically sell them heat and repay our investors that invest in the asset.
Nice. So do you guys work with them on doing the ROI, return on investment, and how many years out that takes and all that kind of stuff,
That's right.
depending on what how much they're using it, obviously, I guess.
That's right. And it depends on kind of what they're paying today, what they've been paying historically. And,
Mm,
while we're focused on decarbonizing their facility, ultimately we need to help them reduce cost. And that's
right.
really what it comes down to first and foremost. So we're really targeted about which markets we're working in and what facilities we go talk to. We want to make sure up front that we can help them save costs or at least keep things steady
Mm.
while also reducing emissions. So.
Nice. Do they get any kind of tax benefit or write off of depreciation or anything? Because you guys are buying it, but somehow it's got to be on their books too. Yeah, how does that work?
Yeah, so typically in project finance, what you do is you create a project company where
Okay.
you can bring investors into that project company, and the project company itself typically benefits from different tax credits and
Oh, cool.
depreciation benefits and things like that. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. That sounds good. So, are you doing anything here in South Carolina or in the Charleston area? Are there any projects that people could see that's going on around the area?
We are exploring some different opportunities, not so much in the immediate Charleston area, just because it's not as industrial as other parts of the state, but we are looking sort of in the Columbia and upstate areas for different opportunities, and we'd love to do a project here in the state. Really, throughout the Southeast, there are some interesting industrial opportunities that we're pursuing.
Mm,
And then we're also active in other markets like up in Eastern Canada,
right.
where they just don't have the natural gas infrastructure and their gas is just more expensive right now. But yeah, no, we'd love to find a couple projects to work on
Nice.
here in South Carolina.
Yeah, yeah. I know they're doing like a lot of big hospital complexes and stuff like that. But who knows? There's always opportunities around. A lot of things are happening in here in the Charleston area, so you never know what's going to come down the pike. Are you guys
Absolutely.
looking at as far as the future? Are you going to stay mainly like the large businesses, or are you looking at some of like? Is there? I guess my question is this technology something that can be scaled down to like a homeowner or maybe a housing complex type thing, or is this really more focused on large business type holdings that this is the only place it's going to make sense?
Yeah, the technologies that we're working with are much more focused on the larger industrial
Mm,
applications.
okay.
I'm sure there will be homeowner type applications. It's not our focus right now, but as we scale down from industrials, we can work with, as you mentioned earlier, large municipal or university type campuses that do have pretty big thermal heating and cooling needs. So those are campuses that we're interested in working with, but initially we're going after some of the heavy industrial users.
Well, you definitely are going to have to leverage the competition between Clemson and USC and see who bites
That's
first,
right.
right?
That's right. Absolutely.
So,
We'd love it.
I saw in your bio that you're originally from California. So why Charleston? Was it family? Was it the weather? Was it something else that brought you here and made you have your company here?
Yeah, no, it's kind of a long story. So when I was much younger, actually met my wife here. She was going to college at Charleston and
Nice.
was still finishing, and we met here. Ended up getting married here in 2005, and had just kind of always talked about bringing the kids back. And ultimately, just about 3 years ago, pulled the trigger and came out here. So
Nice.
really started the company here just since we were living here, but we've loved it. We have an office on Upper King, and we're growing the team, and it's been a great first year in business. So
Nice, nice. That's great. Yeah, I saw you you got some Series A funding. It sounds like everything's kind of rocking for you right now. It sounds like you're very busy, which is good.
no, we are. We have great investors. A venture fund called Evok Innovations, based in Vancouver, British Columbia, led our Series A round, and we're thrilled to have them on board. And they've been great partners of ours. And yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of twists and turns in the development business, but right now we're excited about the opportunities, and just trying to get as many projects under our belt as we can.
Right. So are you growing your team right now? Are you looking for people, or are you kind of holding steady while you're building your business? Where are you in the process at this point?
Yeah, we just went out for a couple new roles on the development team side and a senior controller. And actually, we have a few people starting, either based here in Charleston or relocating here, starting here in August. And then, yeah, we'll be at a team of 5 or 6 based here in Charleston,
Nice.
then another 3 or 4 remotely. So we'll be at about 10 people by the fall.
That'll be great. That's great. Sounds
Yeah.
like you're growing very well, and sounds like everything's going well. So let me ask you. So what's been your biggest challenge of kind of getting this going? Is it the the getting everybody together? Is it getting people? Is it getting funding? Is it just managing all the projects you have? What's been your biggest challenge so far?
Initially, I mean, fundraising, especially for that Series A, is always the biggest challenge, just to get funding and get going. But once we got through that hurdle, I think building the team out and kind of bringing the right people in has taken up at least a lot of my time. And I think in this era, kind of post 2020, where a lot of people are used to remote work, I grew up in a office environment when I was early in my career, and making sure we at least offer that environment for especially young people who we're trying to train and
Right.
and grow into the business, I think is really important. So we're trying to strike that balance between, office work with remote flexibility. And there's some people that we're just going to need to bring onto the team who are necessarily going to be remote, but others, we'd really like to have here in the office. And fortunately, it's a good place to recruit people, especially younger people, to come work, and
Right.
we're finding a lot of interest. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know everybody, every business is kind of somewhat struggling with this, in person versus virtual, and some employees do well in one versus the other, and it's you got to figure out what's the right mix for you and your company. Really, that's what it all boils down to. I can't say there's a right answer or right way to do it, because everybody does it a little bit different, and
absolutely.
yeah, so
Yep.
that's awesome. And I'm glad to hear that, you're having a fairly, easy time recruiting people to come to this area. This is definitely a growing, booming kind of area, and you can find all sorts of things around the Charleston area. We've been very fortunate to we moved here in 2021, and so we're
Okay.
relatively new to this area, but I had friends and others that I've been back and forth to this area for many times over the years, and we love it here too. But it's an exciting time. It's kind of we got a lot of eclectic type people, so people from all sorts of backgrounds in here. So it's great to hear that things are going well for you and your company and your family, and everything's growing. What would you tell folks out there that are just trying to start up, and they haven't gotten to the Series A funding or any series type funding, they're just getting going? What would you tell other entrepreneurs to do? What's your advice for them?
I think you just have to be persistent. You got to talk to as many stakeholders and investors as you can. And until something's done, until it's signed and funded, it's never done, because the
Right.
markets can change, and
Right.
people can change their mind. And so I think you have to be really flexible and kind of how you get the business off the ground. And we've done this before in my career, and it can be really tough kind of getting that first money in the door. And then I feel like, especially in our business, you're always fundraising, so we're constantly meeting with investors. Right. Even if we don't need the capital, we're constantly talking about what we're doing, so that when we do want to go back out to market, it's a warm conversation. They already know who we are, and we're not having to start from scratch. So I think capital raising is just a part of the job, and you got to realize that it's a year-round thing. It's not just a one and done. So
yeah, that's great advice. I love what you say. It's like, always keep the conversation warm. That's a great way to kind of mentally picture that, because, like you said, people do this like, oh, I'm going to sprint and I'm going to get this money in, and then I'm going to just kind of forget about this conversation until I need money again. That right. What you're talking about kind of keeps that conversation going, and also keeps people engaged. And it, what I would say is also is leveraging your network, because you don't know who those folks are talking to. You might, even grow your investor network without even knowing it. So that's great advice.
Yeah, no, every week I'm growing the network with new investors, new stakeholders, new people that we're talking to. It just, the more conversations you have about what it is you're doing, like you said, the more you're going to run into somebody that you didn't even know was out there that could be a really good partner, good customer, good investor.
Awesome.
So it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today, Ted, to talk to me. It sounds like everything's going great for Zero Industrial, and I wish you the best of luck, of course. And I'd love to have you back on. Tell us some more, especially if you get a project in this area, so we can tell people, hey, go drive down this road. You can see what Ted and them are doing out there, so you can see this stuff. So that'd be great.
We'd love that. No, thanks, Bill, for having us. And no, we're excited, going well so far, but a lot of work to do, and we're just excited to be living and working here. It's a great place to do business.
I agree. Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure talking to you today.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Take care.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Lowcountry Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Bellot, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of Lowcountry innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.